my guide to using Appendix F. Um, it's a really good section for calculating current carrying capacities for cables. It's useful at level 2 and level 3. It doesn't contain everything you need for design in level 3, but it pretty much covers most things. So the front page is like an idiot's guide. It talks you through why we carry out current carrying capacities of cables, and it outlines what your design current is, IB, and what your protective device rating is, which is IN. Also gives you the formula IT to calculate your cable size, and so that you can find out your maximum current carrying capacity of that particular cable. The correction factors are shown quite clearly at the bottom there, and they tell you what they are and how to use them. So on the second page, which currently is page 152, you've also got your volt drop calculation, which verifies your volt drop once you've selected your size of cable. So the formula's there, and it tells you what the maximum permissible volt drops are for lighting circuits and for all other circuits. So that's really helpful too. Table F1 is to do with ambient temperature. That's the temperature surrounding the cable, not the general temperature that you might find outside. So depending on the situation that you're in, whether it's indoors, outdoors, a hot environment or a cold environment, you use these correction factors to actually apply to your cable so that you can determine the current carrying capacity. There's also table F2, which is about thermal insulation. So when you have thermal insulation and the cable's less able to lose its heat or dissipate its heat, to put it in technical terms, then you apply these factors. The important thing to note here is that any cable that runs under 500 mil, so that's half a metre of thermal insulation, has the constant factor of 0.5 applied to it. So whether you're running under half a metre, 1 metre or 10 metres, you apply that factor of 0.5. If you can remember that, it saves you constantly referring back to the book, unless you need the correction factors for anything below 500 mil. Grouping factor, table F3, is about looking at whether there are other circuits that are also running and carrying current, because they will be dissipating heat, and that heat will affect your cable's ability to dissipate heat also. So looking along the top here, it tells you the number of circuits. So bear in mind, if there are 2 extra circuits, you need to add yours to it to come to 3. So don't make the mistake of looking at the wrong section there. And then we're looking at whether the cables are bunched together or individually. So I'll talk more about that in lessons about how to use that table. Really important thing though is using tables F41, F42, F51, F52 and F6, and knowing what they're for. So table F41 gives you your current carrying capacity for single cables. Okay, so that's single cables that you might be running in conduit. So bear that in mind. You've also got your installation methods, and again I'll be talking about installation methods in the classroom, but they're to find your current carrying capacity of your cable. Once you've found those and you've calculated your size of cable, you then need to move to table F42. Now F42 is to find your millivolt amps per meter volt drop that you apply to the volt drop calculation. So you use that in conjunction with F41. So when you're carrying out your volt drop calculation, this is the table that you need to refer to for single cables. Table F51 you can see here is about multi-core cables, so that's multi-core round cables, and finding out the current carrying capacities for those. So for example, you might be looking at a 3-core flex or larger cable. So use this to find out your current carrying capacity. Again, you've got your installation methods. Key thing to note here is that it's talking about non-armoured cables. So if you need to calculate the size of armoured cables, then you will need to look in BS 7671 for that, and you'll find that in the tables in Appendix 4. So table F51 is to find your current carrying capacity of your cable, so that will give you your maximum IZ. And then table F52, which is here, is about finding your millivolt amps per meter volt drop, that again you apply once you've found your cable size to verify the volt drop of that particular cable. So that's what you use for that. Again, remember that all the cables that we're talking about at the moment are non-armoured cables. And then finally, the easiest table of all, and probably the one you're most likely to be asked about in online multiple choice exams, is flat profile cable. You'll know it more commonly as twin and earth or 3-core and earth. So I like this table because it combines everything in one. It has the sizes of cables and their current carrying capacities on the left hand side, and then on the far right hand side it has the millivolt amps per meter volt drop values that you need to verify your volt drop. So this is a nice table. It's all in one, table F6. So for flat profile cables, for example twin and earth, so nice easy one to use. And again, I can't guarantee it, but that's the one you're most likely to be asked questions about in multiple choice online exams, so make sure you've got that marked up. Have a look through all these tables. We will be talking about them in class in more detail and using them, especially in relation to installation methods. So they're important, but again, you can find those in section 7 of your on-site guide. So we'll be looking at those, but please look through the book, have a look at them, try and get to grips with them, read the information at the top. You can underline that or highlight it if it helps you. Make sure you know that you're using the right table for the right cable. Thanks for watching.